Namaste. I'm Juan Tepui from Tepui Bansuri. I'm here to tell you about how to choose a flute if you're a beginner and you feel the call to play bamboo flute. Bansuri is the ancient bamboo flute from India, Indian culture, from North India actually. And if you feel that you want to play this instrument and you want to buy one, you have to make a choice, and you don't know whether to buy a cheap flute or a professional bansuri. So I'm gonna talk about these two topics, from my experience. When I started to play bansuri, I bought a very bad, cheap G flute on a shop in London, actually. And what happened is that I learned to blow, I learned to make a sound, but I developed some habits like angling the flute because I wanted to be in tune and the flute was not in tune. Then when I bought my second flute, I felt a little strange because I was used to playing one way and then I have to readapt myself because it was a better flute. So to be in tune, you need to adapt. Remember, in bansuri, the sound is very sensitive, the tuning is very sensitive to your blowing pressure. For example, I will demonstrate. If I blow hard, the tuning go up. If I blow soft, the tuning goes down, like this. Or there is another factor that affects the tuning, which is the angle. I can do this. So the point is that when you have a flute which is not professional and you want to be in tune, you will adapt to the angle of the flute. And that will become your habit. And then if you learn after with a good flute, then you will have to readapt yourself. So it's a choice of making. Now I'm going to talk about the advantages of choosing a good bansuri. What happens is that you buy a professional bansuri and the maker has experience and the flute has been tested by players too, and it has, let's say, perfect tuning. But things that perfect tuning is hard to say, no? Because tuning is always can be better depending on the player. However, if it's an experienced maker, it will make a good flute, let's say. So if you're a beginner, you will start adapting yourself to the right angle position and the right air pressure for each note. However, in bansuri, there is another factor that affects, which is the temperature. If you are playing in a very hot place, the tuning of the flute will rise. If you're playing in a very cold place, the tuning of the bansuri will go down. But I'm talking about extreme cases, right? So if you are playing on a medium temperature of 21, 27 degrees, the flute should be fine. So you will play you can play with other instruments and you will feel good with a good flute, which is very important because we also want to play with other musicians. So this will be the advantages of choosing a good flute, is that you will be able to play with other musicians and you will have a good habit of blowing, which is very important. So for beginners, I recommend a G flute because it's a medium size. You still have low bass notes and it has a good high register. So it's not so hard to start with. What happens if you start with a very big flute and you're a beginner, it's a lot of more effort to cover the holes and you can get frustration. It depends on your will, how much you want to play. So you can definitely achieve that, but it will take more effort. If you have small hands, or you're a girl and don't have so big hands and you want to start playing bansuri, I recommend an A size, which is not too big. It's a little smaller than the G, and it's a great flute to begin with. Also has bass and good high register. So these are the two I recommend for starting. Then if you develop already a good sound and you want to go for a more bass flute, then you can buy an E. E is the most played bansuri in Indian classical music, this size of flute E. So sometimes when you hear classical players, you want to start with a bass sound, but it's actually better to wait a little bit until you develop more skills and you can switch to bigger flutes. So this is my recommendations to you. Thank you for watching, and I hope it served you.